What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be covering this Secretlab NanoGen leatherette chair. It is the Titan Evo series and it is an extra large. I got this around 2 months ago, so I'm going to talk a lot about the things that I love about it and how it's held up over the last 2 months. Next to it is my daughter's chair. Actually, we got this first. So she got this 6 months before I got my chair. And the moment I sat in it, I knew I wanted one and I saved up for it. And typical parent, right? Where you get your kid something first, you splurge on them, and then you wait to get your own. So that's the Soft Weave Diva, and this one is a NanoGen leatherette. So we're not going to talk too much about this chair. I simply have it here because there are moments where you might want to see how a small stacks up against an extra large. This will be the focus. So use me as a proxy. I'm 5'7". When it comes to my body makeup, I am roughly 160 pounds. I am more legs than torso. So that's another thing that you're gonna wanna really take note of, because the XL does run a little higher than some chairs, but I measured it ahead of time knowing that I'm mostly legs. And so it's fine for me. But if you're 5'7" and you're anatomically proportionate, then it might actually be a little too tall for you. What else? I have mild scoliosis, and that comes into play because I want to be in a chair where I have a little bit of freedom to rock left and right without things kind of getting in my way. And I'll talk a little bit about how this helps me do that. And quite frankly, the small version did as well. And I think those might be the major things. Oh, I don't use this chair for sleeping on it. And I am not sitting in this chair for 8 hours at a time. I'm sitting in the chair for maybe an hour or two. I get up, I walk around in the house, grab some water, sit back down. So I will work an entire full day on it. But unlike I think there's like a lot of gamers and streamers that say like, I don't leave my chair for 8 hours straight. That's not me. All right, the first thing you're going to notice about this chair is that it runs pretty wide, and that is a characteristic that follows all the way from the bottom. So with a small chair, you can kind of see actually that the stems, if you will, are not as long as the ones on the XL. The other thing about this chair is, let's use my Steelcase Cheshire as an example. The Steelcase Cheshire box, when I purchased it, was around 70 pounds. I don't know how much the chair itself weighs. I'm sure it's like a majority of that. But the box for this chair was 100. So as you kind of like push this chair around on carpet, it actually is not bad, but it's not great either. And I think a lot of that has to do with its carpet, to be fair to it. And also this chair it's pretty heavy, right? So if I were to move it, you would see that you kind of have to grab it from the middle because of the center of gravity. So like if I moved it like this, look, it's not gonna slide, right? But if I move it this way, it's not bad. Actually, it's a lot easier when you're actually out of the chair. And when you're in the chair, there's a lot of scooting that's happening. So you can also see how my feet are touching the ground. This is an extra large. I think this is recommended for, well, let me get that stat. All right, so I have the numbers. For a regular, again, this is an XL. For a regular, it's recommended for folks that are 5'7" to 6'2", and less than 220 pounds. That, in theory, if I were going by paper, that's what I would want. For an XL, which is this, it's recommended for folks that are 5'11" to 6'9". Again, I'm 5'7". And for folks that are 175 to 395, and again, I'm at like around 160. The reason why I got an XL is because I really wanted a little more wiggle room when I was sitting down. And I'll show you how that works out later on. And you could already see that the armrests are giving me the room I want. So there, we've covered the base. Pretty simple. These are the wheels that it came with. I didn't upgrade the wheels. I didn't get any aftermarket wheels, but they're working perfectly fine on carpet. The next thing I want to show you is the actual chair itself. So One of the things that the NanoGen model was supposed to do is make it a little more, I guess, plush, softer. And if I'm being honest, I can't really tell the difference between this one and the soft weave. And in fact, I almost feel like the soft weave is still a little softer. But I didn't get this chair because I wanted it to be soft. I got this chair because I wanted it to be firm. Now I'm in my 40s and I'm much wiser. I always thought you would want everything soft. I always thought I wanted my pillows to be soft. I always thought I wanted my mattresses to be soft. And I always thought I wanted my chairs to be soft. And you think that way because you think, oh, it's like laying in a cloud, right? Like you imagine that that's what's gonna be the most comfortable. And over time, what I realized is the moment I laid in a firm bed, the moment I laid in a somewhat firmer pillow, and the moment I sat in this firm chair, I knew like, this is what I want. And so, true story, I'm reading to my daughter at night and I'm just sitting in her chair. And in that moment, I'm thinking Black Friday, I'm gonna wait several months and I'm gonna get me my own. And so that's essentially what happened. And I'm really happy with this. It's super firm. So when you sit down, it might be a shock to you just how firm this chair is. I know I keep saying firm and now I'm starting to build this image of it being like super rigid. It's not. It's healthy firm, if you will. It feels like you have strong support behind you, and that's exactly what you want. Especially for me with lower back problems. The one thing that was terrible for me with these soft chairs was that I felt like I was kind of like caving into them. So speaking of caving into them, there is lumbar support built into this. There are two knobs. One controls the height, right? Or the position, if you will. And the other one, what's this one? This one is, this one's position and this one is curvature. The other thing about me is I don't want lumbar support to kind of like protrude into my back. And the whole reason for that is because, again, I have lower back issues. There's nothing more uncomfortable than something pushing your back. And so what I really like about this, and this is how I set it up in my cars, is I can actually set it to go like super low and kind of like super back. And so I don't have anything, I have support there, but I don't have anything pushing into me. And I really enjoy that about this chair. The Silcase gesture actually comes with lumbar support. Well, it's an add-on. I have lumbar support on that one as well. And one thing that kind of bothered me about that chair was out of the box, even without lumbar support, there's almost like a curvature on the chair. And it's comfortable for probably most people. But for me, I realized if I'm sitting in it for a long period of time, that thing pushes into my lower back and it kind of makes it uncomfortable. Again, great chair, but I wanted to move away from that. And ever since I've been sitting on this chair, things have felt so much better. What's next? Oh, let's talk a little bit about these pads. So actually, I'll take this off. I actually was really concerned about these pads when I bought this chair. This almost like a make or break situation. I didn't like the way this looked on the website. It's a kind of like a plush, it's almost like, you know, that fabric you might find, the performance fabric you might find on some sofas, where like if you bring it down one way, you can see the lines. If you bring it the other way, you don't. And in my mind, I was imagining it looking really dirty over time, but look, it's winter. Sometimes I have ashy elbows and it's looking good here. This is what my daughter has. She has the other material. This one came quote unquote free with this chair. This one came quote unquote free with this chair. And hers actually is really good too. You can't go wrong with either of them. I thought I wanted this one, but quite frankly, I'm actually really happy with this one. I don't think there's like, if this one came with that one, I don't think it would be a problem. But you know what's really interesting is, considering I thought this was going to look kind of really ugly, it ended up being really nice. And just in case, closer to light. Maybe that's what I should have done earlier. Look at that. It's nice. I thought I was going to get dirty. it's only been 2 months, but 2 months is also kind of long. It's nice. This thing is magnetic. So what happens is when I come over here, I just snap it on. And if I ever want to change it, obviously it's super easy to change. So I had this adjusted on the bottom to go as far as possible. You can kind of see right here. You see this gap here? That gap right there? That gap is an indicator that I could actually adjust it further into the chair. And if you have armrests, what ends up happening for someone like me is like my arms are kind of like this, right? Ideally, I have armrests there when I want them there, and if I want to remove them, I can. And in fact, with my Steelcase gesture, there was like 1 or 2 years where I manually took the armrests off because they were giving me the room to kind of like move them away, but it was still kind of constrained. And you can see here, look, I'm totally just leaning back and I'm barely touching these. And in fact, the small version also affords me that same kind of flexibility. Look, here I am touching it. So there is a slight difference between the XL width and the small width. All right, so let's jump right into what these adjustments can do. So right now I have it set low, I have it set far. If I wanted, there's a button here. You can kind of angle it in. You can angle it out, okay? Bring it back here. There is another button on the sides. You can bring it up. You can bring it down. And then there is another button here on the side. You can bring it out. You can bring it in. And in fact, if I hold the first button down, you can bring it forward and you can bring it back. So you can see it's really designed to be customized and I guess personalized to you based on whatever you want. For me, I have it super low because I have a small torso, and I have it super far out because I want to make sure that I can adjust my shoulder and not feel like there's something constricting me. What's also nice about the XL is that if I am super uncomfortable and I want to do, I know this is not ergonomically correct, I can sit like this sideways and just chill. It feels comfortable. I could put my leg up here and just kind of like, I know like you think like, why would you do that? There are times where you're just like chilling and this just feels comfortable. I don't know why. And with an extra large, you could do it easily. You could do it on the small too, but this XL really does give you this kind of freedom. Another interesting thing that I learned when I was looking up if I wanted to splurge and buy this chair, because it's $849, is that a lot of women actually like the XL version. And it's because the width allows them the ability to sit cross-legged on the chair. They wanted a small if they liked something hugging them, or they wanted an XL if they were the type to cross their legs. So if you like sitting with your legs crossed, obviously you could do it in this chair. Like you can kind of see how there's plenty of room for me to do it here. And then again, I could just sit like this on the side. And it's not so big that I feel like, you know, it's loose, like there's nothing like kind of hugging me. It feels really good. Another thing I want to highlight is anytime I would buy a chair in the past, I would never want a gaming chair. And the reason why I never wanted a gaming chair was because they just look like gaming chairs. And it's no offense to folks that like that vibe. For me, I didn't want something that looks super gamey. You can see my daughter's chair actually very clearly looks like a gaming chair, but it doesn't look like a gaming chair that is, well, in my opinion, it doesn't look like a cheap gaming chair. It looks like a well put together gaming chair, like super thoughtful the way it was put together. And when I saw the Secretlab Pure Black, this NanoGen, I knew it looked like a gaming chair, but it didn't give that same vibe. And in real life, it's even better. Anytime I see this chair when I walk into this room, I'm incredibly happy with the way it visually looks. It goes really well with the paint. It goes really well with the lights. And it's gaming without feeling too quote unquote unprofessional. And so I really love that about this chair. Even from the back, like look how good this looks from the back. All right, so that's the armrest. Now let's talk about the headrest up here. So look, If it's too high for my neck, then I can just take it off because it's magnet, and I could kind of just like keep it lower, right? I will just sit down, I'll keep it lower. But what's interesting is it centered for the focus? It's perfect. It's perfect for me. If I wanted to go higher, I could. If I wanted to go lower, I obviously could. Look, see, it's still stuck on there, and it's incredibly comfortable. So it's supporting my neck, and so again, if you're taller than 5'7", you're not gonna have a problem here. All right, the final thing I'll do is I'm gonna recline this chair. It goes back super far. There's actually, in the vein of not wanting to have a chair that look like a gaming chair, I'm a little reticent to purchase. You could actually buy these kind of like rests you put at the bottom of the chair. So when you recline, it acts like a recliner, but I'm afraid it's gonna look very like, I don't know, funky. But without it, this thing goes super low already. Look how low that is. So it's super comfortable. Again, I can move this if I want, but interestingly enough, when I do it, it actually becomes a pillow. And so I don't even have the thing that brings my legs up. It's just really comfortable. It is a big chair though, so if you don't have a big room, it is going to kind of get in the way of other things. So be careful with your measurements. For example, like if I swing this, you're gonna see how it could potentially hit a wall if you're in a smaller room. But you could actually bring this super duper forward. Watch this. Like, I mean, maybe you're gaming and it's a super sweaty session, but this thing can go like super. This is really uncomfortable. I mean, even this, maybe someone wants to sit super perpendicular. I like to kind of like have it one lever back, so it's kind of relaxed, but also keeping my posture. And then the other controls are obviously, oh, this one makes it so you can kind of just like kind of rock it. So there's a lever here to do that. And then if I don't want to do that anymore, I flip it up and look, I can't push back. And then on this side, I can bring it up high. So look how high it goes. Super high, right? Now my feet are definitely floating. But then if I bring it down, my feet are back on the floor. I think that is it. I want to say I highly recommend it. This is one of the best chairs I've ever purchased. I purchased more expensive chairs in the past. Again, the Steelcase gesture by itself is over $1,000. This is $849. I'm really happy with it. I don't have any extra covers that go on this chair. It is as is. I haven't cleaned it. You can see how spotless it still looks. I haven't worn shorts with it yet because it's winter. Oh, I take that back. I wear shorts for pajamas sometimes, and I've never sat down and felt like, oh my gosh, it's cold. So I live in California. Maybe that's part of the reason why. I've never felt like it was sweaty. I am incredibly happy with this purchase. This is an extra large. This is a small. You cannot go wrong with either of these chairs, whether it's the leatherette or the soft weave. They're both wonderful. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please send them my way. If I missed anything, maybe I can cover it in like another video or a short. I hope this is helpful. Happy 2025, and catch you next time.